In the absence of light, darkness prevails. There are things that go bump in the night, Agent Myers. Make no mistake about that. But we are the ones who bump back. That is a quote from Professor Trevor Brutenholm, from one of my favorite comic book movies, Hellboy, 2004 by Guillermo del Toro, starring Ron Perlman as the titular Hellboy. This movie is an iconic piece of my childhood. I remember seeing it and all of the work that went into making the monsters and the creatures look real and look authentic. It was baffling to a young me, but at the same time, it was equal parts terrifying and incredible. Now, granted, I didn't get to watch it when it first came out. I was only a few years old at the time. Well, I was a couple years old. But I digress. My parents didn't want me to see it super early. But when I was old enough, they were like, okay, you can watch it. And I gotta say, I think the movie still holds up. Is it a little cheesy at points? Maybe. Is some of the dialogue a little weird? Of course. But it's a comic book movie. You gotta learn to accept that sometimes comic book movies are gonna be a little comic booky. But is it worth it to watch the entire thing? Yeah. Go watch it now. If you've not seen it, watch it now. If you would like to come back after you've seen it at least once, we're gonna try and do a quick run through of it. And if you guys like this, we can do a more in-depth discussion of it after Halloween's over, after the month of October's done. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. First off, the movie starts in 1944, during World War II, with the help of Russian mystic Gregory Rasputin. And that's exactly the Rasputin you're thinking of. He helps two people. He helps several people. The two main people that he helps are named Obersturmführer Karl, I definitely mispronounced that, Karl Ruprecht Kronen, and Isla von Hopstein. Those are the two main villains that he helps. And they are going along with a regime of Charlie Chaplin enthusiasts, if you catch my drift. That seems safe to say, right, babe?
What?
A regime of Charlie Chaplin enthusiasts? The villains of World War II. The way to say it without getting demonetized. Is that good enough? Okay. Okay. So Rasputin joins up with them to help them build a portal to... Oh, shoot. I don't even know if it says it in the portal or in the movie, but basically a portal to another dimension where the Ogdru Jahad, a giant squid-like monster deity thing, lives. Because the Charlie Chaplin wannabes want to use that to win the war, which I don't know what they thought they could control with that, but I mean, hey, more power to them, I guess. Unbeknownst to them, Dr. Trevor Brutenholm, who I will call Broom, Dr. Broom from now on, is leading an Allied strike force. Well, I say leading, he was more like guiding. There was a bunch of like super American soldiers and British soldiers and everything, and then he's a scientist doctor who like knows about this occult stuff. Well, they sneak up and they're trying to like break in, and I will say it's very intense. Really quickly, I do have another a prop for this video already. But Broom leads them to where the science experiments are going on, and when they get there, there's a huge commotion. And I'm telling you, this portal is bizarre, too. Like, a dude gets, a Charlie Chaplin supporter, gets thrown into the portal at one point and is disintegrated upon impact. Like, you get to see as he just melts into nothing but bone in a lab coat and then nothing. And it's pretty intense. the entire time Rasputin is holding this gauntlet, like holding the portal open, and you see stuff's getting sucked in, like magnetized through this portal. And the Allies are fighting the Charlie Chaplin regime, and it's getting intense. And then finally, Rasputin gets like he starts to dissolve and gets sucked into this portal, and it like collapses upon itself, and it's gone. And the Allies are like, "Oh, cool." Well, then they find out that something escaped from the portal before the Ogdru Jahud could like get out. And it's this little creature, this like a little ape-like creature with horns and a gigantic right hand. They corner it, and before they can kill it, Dr. Broom saves it and shares chocolate with it, which it really likes. I think it's is it Milky Way or might be Three Musketeers. I don't know. It's a candy bar. And so the creature trusts him, and it looks like a little demon. So they decide to name it Hellboy. And then the movie like shows like as it cuts to the present day in film, it's like you see that Hellboy has become like a mystery, like an urban legend to the world at large. Then we cut to the main storyline of the film. 60 years later, the eternally youthful Dr. Carl Cronin, this guy, and Hopstein resurrect Rasputin with a blood sacrifice, and he's brought back to life. Meanwhile, in America, I believe it is, Agent John Myers, a new kid, the younger guy, is transferred to the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, the BPRD, at the request of Dr. Broom, where he meets the adult Hellboy and a psychic amphibious humanoid named Abe Sapien. Abe Sapien is awesome. Abe is named after Abe, like, he was found in a tank in the middle of this science lab with the only thing on his plaque, or on his tank was a plaque with, I think it was the date of Abraham Lincoln's death, so they called him Abraham Sapien. And he can, like, whenever he touches stuff, his skin to whatever he's touching, he can see the history of the item. Like, he picks up a book that was picked up by the bad guys at one point and can see the entire history of that book. He can touch people and, like, get a full sense of their, like, well-being, their health and everything, and it's crazy. Well, that's when Agent Myers learns that the BPRD is like FBI for all things spooky and weird. Which, if that's really a thing out there, give me a call. Be a fun job to have. I'd be down for it. But Myers learns that he's going to be like the personal assistant to Hellboy. Well, anyways, they were called out on their first mission. Abe and Hellboy go out with Dr. Broom and some of the other agents, where they find Samiel, it's in a museum. It's a creature that seems to be like regenerative, and it's like a monster. Go look up Samiel from Hellboy 2004. The prosthetic work on that creature, I mean, there's some CGI in some bits, but for the most part, they try and do prosthetic work, and it is chilling. But like, so Hellboy has to like fight it out, and it's this huge battle, and it's really cool. Then we get to meet Liz, which is Hellboy's old flame, no pun intended, because she's a pyrotechnic. We also, Abe learns that Samuel was resurrected by Rasputin, who has imbued Samuel with the power of reincarnation and split his essence, causing two of the creature's eggs to hatch from and mature each time one of them dies. Which means, like, so Hellboy does end up killing Samuel, and when he kills him, the body burns up and releases two more flames, and the Samuels lay eggs. And every time one dies, two more rise up in its place. Which means every time he has to kill one, two more are gonna... It's like the Hydra. It's like stuff gets pretty intense. Well, we find out that Liz, the pyrotechnic... Sorry, I was trying to have some theme music and it might be a little too loud. We learned that Liz had like some breakdowns earlier and wants to live like a normal life. Actually, talking with this thing on, I'm gonna go ahead and change back into the other costume real quick. This one's just kind of hurting my jaw talking this much with it on. I probably ought to loosen that one if it's hurting the jaw. Anyways, Hellboy's trying to convince her to come back to the BPRD, and she's not sure about it. She's like, I want to have a normal life and all this other stuff, and he's like, I get that, but I'm not normal and I want you to be with me. Myers also starts to have a crush on her, and that's kind of like the whole triangle thing. Is like Hellboy's like, you're right for me, and she's like, well, I know, but it's things are weird. So Abe finds out that Samuel has the Hydra power. Essentially, every time he dies, 2 more rise up. Then he touches Broom's shoulder when Broom has like something hurts his chest, so he kind of falls forward, and Abe grabs him and reads his health and finds out that Broom is dying, has a disease, and he's not long for this world. Concluding that the eggs are in the sewer, Hellboy, Abe, and several FBI agents go down to destroy them. Abe is given a pinky bone from a pope as like protection because Samuel's a demon summoned from hell, apparently. Well, it gets like the bracelet that he's wearing with it in there gets cut off, so he loses it. So Samuel can actually hurt him now. And while they're trying to destroy the eggs, one of the FBI agents who is very close with Hellboy is killed by Cronin. Actually, most of the agents who are down there are killed by Cronin, and Hellboy is not happy about it. Well, Cronin, this dude, he twists this thing on his chest and then lays down next to one of the bodies and then like freaks out and has like a seizure, and then he goes limp. Also, he is shot several times, and it is revealed that like no blood comes out of those shots. It's like looks like poof poof poof, like smoke. It looks like, which is really strange, but it's not really explained at the moment. Well, the next thing is we cut back to Hellboy runs in and finds them, and he gets everyone out of there as quickly as he can. They think they get Abe out of there at that point too. FBI Director Tom Manning is angered by Hellboy's recklessness because like 6 agents die in this tunnel by Samuel, or not Samuel, by Cronin, the assassin. So Myers takes Liz out for coffee to kind of get her away from like all the stuff. Also because he likes her, and Hellboy kind of like follows them and leaves the bureau unguarded, while Broom is back at the bureau doing an autopsy on Cronin. And at that point, we learn that Cronin we're 12 minutes in. Okay, Cronin's a sick fuck. Like, he has chopped off his eyelids and ripped off his lips and like replaced all of the blood in his body with sand. And like, so like Ilsa is eternally youthful. I don't remember exactly if it explains how she's eternally youthful. Probably some deal with the devil. But his is like scientific, like, I'm going to destroy my essence of humanity to become this living, breathing monolith of torture. And then like that thing he twisted, we find out is this little like dial that when he twists it, it spins and keeps the sand moving in what should be a heart, but it's not a heart. And like the dude is terrifying to look at because his eyelids are like just not there. And so the best comparison is like, imagine the faceless Joker, like the teeth, you know, with the eyes from Wolverine Origins, Deadpool, where he's got like this slit with his slashes, like, because that's what he does with his eyes. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. So Broom discovers like, oh well, he's gone now. He's not gonna make it. Well, so he leaves the body and goes downstairs to study some more. And since Abe is out of commission from fighting with Samuel, and Hellboy's out watching Myers and Liz's date, and there's no one there to protect, that's when old Sandbag over there just kind of sits up, puts himself back together, climbs down the stairs, comes up behind Dr. Broom, and Rasputin appears and tells him, like, your death will be quick because we respect your abilities. And Broom holds his crucifix, and he just says, I'm ready whenever it's time. And old Sandbag stabs him and kills him. And Broom falls dead. Well, then Hellboy sees an emergency car come up on the date of Liz and Myers, and he's a little confused, and then rushes back to the place and finds his father. Well, because that's another thing, is the movie doesn't like dwell on it a lot. I mean, there's several scenes where they talk about it, but it's kind of really quickly. If I remember, I need to watch this movie again. I've missed it. Also, everyone in the movie, amazing performances. Ron Perlman, you are Hellboy. I like the new guy who plays it in the 2019 movie. Like, he was good. I like that actor too. He's funny. But like Ron Perlman, I grew up with you as Hellboy. You are the Hellboy. But like the scene is when he runs up, he cradles his father's, because he sees Broom as his father, cradles his body, and like it's very devastating because the music is playing and it's sad, and at some point, someone throws Broom's crucifix to him and he grabs it. Oh no, that's later on. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Broom's funeral is like massively attended by everyone in the FBI, the BPRD, everyone. And Hellboy, his own son, is not allowed to go because Hellboy is supposed to be seen as a myth, not known in the real world. So he has to watch his father's funeral from afar, from the rooftop of the BPRD, that no one, like, where no one can see him still. But like, and it is just devastating. Well, then the FBI guy is kind of takes over, and they decide to go to Rasputin's mausoleum in Moscow. And so the FBI guy, Hellboy, Myers, Liz, and a bunch of agents all go there. And I won't dwell too much because there's a lot more that goes into it. But basically, they find out there's a bunch of the eggs there because they end up destroying the eggs in New York or wherever the hell they were originally. So they're like, we have to go kill the original eggs and destroy them all and stop Rasputin from raising all these people. And so they finally find, like, while they're there, they find the mausoleum, they lead down into it, and when they get down in, everyone's split up. Liz and Myers are with a couple of agents, and then Hellboy is stuck with Manning, the FBI guy, and a zombie and another agent. Well, when they're trying to find a way out of there, because they all get separated, Liz is captured, and Myers is captured by Rasputin and Ilsa, who beat the crap out of him and chain him up to a rock, and then are planning on they take her essence, her soul, and put her in purgatory, in limbo, between life and death, and use her as a sacrifice for Hellboy. And I'll explain why in a minute. Then Hellboy and Manning, which this entire movie, Manning has done nothing but talk shit about Hellboy. He's like, he's reckless, he's evil, he's a bad guy. Which, I mean, in his defense, one of the first times we see him is he's calling out Hellboy for collateral damage. So Hellboy rips a water tank off the wall and throws it at him, destroying several walls in the process. So, I mean, the collateral damage is fair. That's a fair assessment. But, I mean, don't piss off a devil. So, anyways, while Hellboy and Manning are walking around through these catacombs underneath Rasputin's mausoleum, they find a music player and the lair of the Dr. Carl. And hilarious timing. The song playing, I believe, is this one. It's called Kronen's Lied. I think it's this one. But so they get in this huge fight. Carl versus Manning and Hellboy. And Manning, I mean, I'm not trying to shit-talk the guy, but he's the FBI director, so he's not really there to fight. But he plays his part really well, because, like, Hellboy's fighting Cronin, and it gets to the point where Hellboy's about to fall into this pit of spikes, and Cronin's got the upper hand, and right before Cronin can, like, take out Hellboy, he gets hit in the face with a gear, and he looks up and sees Manning is just, like, sitting there holding gears. He says, don't even think about it. Bring it on, buddy. I'll take you down. And Carl's like, I'm an unkillable assassin with blades for hands, essentially. What are you gonna do? And while he's, like, staring him down, like, alright, I'll kill you too. Got loud. Hang on. And while he's sitting there like, I'll kill you too, all of a sudden the rope that Hellboy was hanging on to comes up and grabs Carl and yanks him down, and Hellboy rips him and dunks him into the spikes, and he gets stuck, and you see the sand coming out of his new stab wounds and stuff. And then Manning helps Hellboy up, and they throw a giant gear on top, and it crushes him. And you hear him, like, screaming for, like, let me out, blah, blah. But you can't really understand him because he doesn't have any lips anymore. It's a little hard to speak when you don't have lips. And then Manning and Hellboy have this kind of interesting moment where like the entire movie, Hellboy smokes cigars. He's a cigar smoker, but he always lights it with a specific lighter. And Manning says, you don't light a cigar with a lighter. The butane, it gives it a weird flavor. You have to light a cigar with a match. And Hellboy kind of looks at him like, what the hell? And so Manning lights a match for him and lights his cigar. And it's a really simple thing, but it's for their characters, it's a really big moment, at least to me, the way I see it. Is like this guy who is, I think actually that was the song that happens when Carl's getting his autopsy. Sorry, I'm listening to the soundtrack as we do this. But oh, what was I gonna say? They go from being like they hate each other, like Manning thinks Hellboy is a monster and a reckless destruction person, and Hellboy thinks Manning is a prick. But like they just defeated an undead assassin together. And Manning's like, no, let me teach you, let me show you the ways, you young boy. Even though he's like 60, but he's like mentally he's like 20 or something in the storyline. And Hellboy, like, instead of like saying, no, let me do my thing, he lets him light the cigar and he puffs it a little bit. He tastes it and he goes, thanks. And he's like, don't mention it. Yeah. And just like that, they go back to like the treating each other like their status quo, not really talking about it. But it was a really cool moment, you know. And I told myself I wasn't going to do deep dive until later on. So I'll try and make this quicker because we're already at 20 minutes. So, Hellboy, like, Manning says, I'm going to try and find a way out of here. And Manning's like, or Hellboy's like, okay, I got to go find Liz and Myers. Well, he finally, like, he gets a hold of them, like, through the comm pieces or whatever, and realizes they're right below him. So using his giant rock fist, which, it's so cool, he busts a hole through the floor to get down to them into this cave. And when he gets down there, there's like 30 Samuels and all these eggs, and Myers is like just trying not to, you know, die because he's just a dude with a pistol. And they've got these like straps of bombs that they're going to use to take out all the eggs. Well, they end up beating up the Samuels, and Hellboy, how does it go exactly? I can't remember 100% the order of things, but Hellboy gets Myers and Liz's body out of there and drops the bomb, and it blows up and it kills all the Samuels. And then he is left prone or something. He's like injured. And then when he wakes up, he comes out, sees Liz and Myers have been taken, like Ilsa and Rasputin showed up again and they took them. And they've locked him up next to this giant monolith that has has two holes that are the size of Hellboy's hands. And they lock up Hellboy in this neck collar because they say, if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill Liz. And because Hellboy couldn't get her to wake up because she's in purgatory, he didn't know that. But so he's like, okay, so he puts on this collar thing. And another thing about Hellboy, he has horns, but they're cut off. Like he's got the stumps. It looks like if you took a deer and you cut the antlers off, so you just had the stumps. That's what Hellboy has on his head, like right here. And he always shaves him down because he says it's in the beginning. It talks about how he's self-conscious about him. But one thing that is very it's really freaky is at this point Rasputin shows up and he's wearing like these ceremonial robes, and Ilsa is like hyping him up and stuff, and you can see like under his skin he's got like these riling worm things. It's really creepy. And so Hellboy's like, what the hell do you want with me? Like, and he's like, well, what we want is for you to do what you're supposed to do. And Hellboy's like, what the hell does that mean? And that's when Rasputin says, you're not just, a demon from another dimension. You are literally Hellboy. You are the son of Satan. And Hellboy's like, okay, so? And Rasputin's like, you will bring about the apocalypse, and that's what you're going to do tonight. And if you don't, Liz is going to die. Because she's right now on the precipice of dying, and the only way to save her is for you to do what I tell you to do. And Hellboy's like, I don't want to do that. And so they tell him, like, what you need to do is you take over, you have to speak your name, which, I don't know if it says his name in here. It does not. I'll have to look it up for the big analysis someday. But he says his name, and the collar breaks and falls to the ground. And then his horns, he glows fire over his head like an evil halo, as his horns grow out into like. And he walks over and he unlocks the first gate, which one of the squid deals starts to beam itself into our mortal world. And as he's getting ready to do the second one, Myers, who's been getting beaten up by Ilsa at this point because he's chained up and just keeps saying, "Don't do this." His hand is all bloody and stuff, so he slips it out of the shackle, grabs a log, and smacks the shit out of Ilsa in the head, knocking her to the ground. Calls for Hellboy and throws something at him, and Hellboy turns and catches it just as like he comes around. And when he catches it, you hear sizzling as he opens his hand and drops what is his father, like, Room's rosary that he died holding. And it burns the cross into Hellboy's hand. And he looks at it for a second, and that's when Rasputin says, "There's no time, you must activate the door, open the last door!" And Hellboy looks at his hand, and looks at the last hole to unlock it, and grabs his horns and breaks them off by force. And you see the halo just shatter as he's no longer the key to open up the doorway to hell. But Rasputin is already like, you know, the body for the demons. Well, Hellboy, I think, stabs him or something. Oh, he's possessed by the behemoth, the spawn of the Ogden Rod. Well, Hellboy, I think, stabs him with like a spear or something, and then takes Liz and gets Myers, and they run out of the place as Rasputin's like body starts to like, as he's like, the behemoth starts to come out of him and grow, and Ilsa's like, "I'll find you in the next life, don't worry," and immediately gets squashed by this monster. Shortly after that, Hellboy sets Liz in the hallway and tells Myers to watch out for her, and Myers is like, "Well, don't get hurt," and he's like, "How bad could it be?" And you see a giant tentacle grab Hellboy and drag him back. And then it's like this gigantic squid monster thing, and Hellboy's fighting it. And he sees that Myers' grenades are on the ground, and he's like, "I could use those." But then he realizes that the trigger is busted, so he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to, this is gonna really suck." And so he runs down and he grabs the grenades and he gets in a fight. He pulls this statue's sword off of a statue and is fighting the monster. Well, the monster ends up eating him. Well, he gets the grenades in the stomach, pulls the pins, and they blow up and destroy the monster. Well, then he goes back to Liz, and he finally gets back to Liz, and everyone's like, they're trying to get out of there, and Myers is like, "Is everything, like, did you get everything done?" And Hellboy's like, "Yeah." And so he grabs Liz, and she's still unconscious. She's still like in between, like, limbo. And so he whispers something in her ear, and she comes to. And Myers is like, "What did you say to her?" And she's like, "Yeah, what did you say? I don't remember what you said, but I could hear you." And what is it? She's like, "I could hear you. What did you say?" And the quote that he delivers is just iconic to me. Let me see. When she asks how her soul was returned to her body, Hellboy replies that he said, "Hey, you on the other side, let her go, because for her I'll cross over, and then you'll be sorry." And Liz and Hellboy share a kiss, and as they share a kiss, Liz finally like lets her emotions go. Because that was another thing. I think that's the bombs aren't what killed the eggs. Liz killed the eggs because she told Myers to slap her while Hellboy was fighting Samuel, and when he did, she got control of her firepower like to the full extent, and so she wiped out all the eggs with her firepower, and that's what kind of like knocked her out at first before they got her and like took her soul. But yeah, so that line, that "Hey, you on the other side, let her go, because for her I'll cross over, and then you'll be sorry," it's just such an iconic, like, badass line for like the big bad awesome guy to say. And then they share a kiss, and while they kiss, Myers is just kind of sitting there third wheeling. And then Liz catches on fire. And Hellboy, being immune to fire, is totally fine with it. And they kiss in fire, and that's how the movie ends. Is it the greatest movie ever? Well, no. I mean, it's not the greatest movie ever. Is it my favorite movie? It's up there. I will say it is up there. Dude. There's so many quotable lines. Like, there's that line right there is great. But there's also a point where he's fighting Samuel, and Samuel's winning, and they're, like, on a train track. So he, like, as Samuel's, like, got his tongue wrapped up on him, he grabs a train track, which is electrified, and it doesn't hurt him because he's not hurt, but he's fireproof. But it shocks the hell out of Samuel until he's, like, burned up, and then he, like, is on fire. His jacket's on fire, and Samuel's, like, corpse is burning, and he goes, "I'm fireproof." And he lights a cigar with his burning hand and goes, "You're not," and walks away. But no, there's so many good things about this movie. Guillermo del Toro nailed it with this. And they're in the talks of making a third one. But since I've already hit the 31-minute mark, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know I've been trying to go shorter videos to make it easier for you guys to watch. I do like doing the long-form content, but I want to make sure I can get some more viewers involved and stuff before I go ahead and do fully long-form. So let me know what you guys think. If you do like this, I will do a full in-depth analysis. Granted, it's not going to be for a while, but I would love to do like a full hour-and-a-half long video where I just talk about this whole movie. And if you like this one, let me know, and I'll try and do shorter ones for the next couple of weeks at least. But there's a sequel, there's a reboot, and so I guess there's another one in the works, possibly a third one to this. But so, well, I appreciate you all for watching. I will see you all next time. Have a great night. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the darkness around you, because the world's crazy, man. Just enjoy what you can. Love y'all.